OS Trek, Episode 2. Captain's Log, Stardate 91090.9. We are currently en route to Earth. Word from Starfleet is that the Sea-Axe is to be decommissioned and retrofitted, later to be renamed the Saxon, or Saxon SK-701. Room 321. Captain's Quarters. I'm taking the opportunity to look at the addressing system on board what will soon be renamed the Saxon. The shape of this ship is quite simply a saucer section. This ship is so small that there are only 5 decks. Deck 5 is merely cargo holds. Level 1 of the ship is concerned mostly with operations, including the bridge. Levels 2, 3, and 4 are uniform as far as height is concerned. The top and bottom parts of the saucer section have a slight slope on the edges. The address location system is mainly confined to 2 rings, the innermost ring being 1, making the outer ring 2. If you place a cross shape starting at the middle, going from side to side and up and down, in other words, horizontal and lateral, you begin counting on the right side of the circle at top, making the first circle on the outside of the 2 rings. Cubicle 2-1 as the counting order begins with the innermost ring. To produce a number for the address location, start with the level on the ship. Then provide the numbers for the innermost ring, followed by the outermost ring, depending on where the location of the room, cubicle, whatever you want to call it, the location on the ship is located. Since location 426 is what I know as the current location for my executive officer's quarters, I can look at the map, or even do it in my head, and know where the location is. For security reasons, the captain and executive officers are quartered on separate levels and separate locations. 528 was the location for the officers' lounge. I was to speak to my engineering staff on reprogramming the turbo lifts to provide better service. Turbo lift. Take me to level 5, room 28. Computer, what is the location of the officer's lounge? The location of the officer's lounge is on level 5, room 28, said the computer back to me as the car began to move in the shaft. Officer's lounge. There were 3 members of my bridge staff waiting for me in the lounge. They were all at the bar. Hello, everyone, I said. Mainly the project that I have the engineering staff working on today is to program the turbo lift system in such a way that it will take a person from location 1 to location 2 in the shortest time and with the least amount of explanation given to the computer for the task. I believe you all understand my position on this. Are there any questions? The quickest way to say where I'm going on any ship, said the first officer, Dan Fowler, is simply to state what room I'm going to, or who the room belongs to. Take me to Assistant Smith's room, and the assistant's room is located on level 2 at 13. Then the turbo lift should take me directly to room 213. If there is one thing that computers are good with, it is figuring out locations on a map and giving the numbers. For my room, for example, I'm trying to picture in my mind where it is located. Level 5 No, level 4. It is near the front end of the ship, left side of the center line. You see how it goes. If you got a better way. Anyone? Let me stop anyone else from answering. I said, if you look at the map, you will see what formula is used. You look at this. You have a saucer section. You have a saucer ship configuration with engines attached basically on the sides. Only 5 levels, 2 rings / bulkheads. Inner ring is numbered 1, outer ring is 2. We do not use letters, so 5 to 8 is the officer's lounge. Fowler blurted out, 4-2-3 must be my quarters. I do not think so, number 1, I said. The saucer is divided into eighths. So when you get to the end, which is 8 o'clock, you start over at the front end of the ship and start at 1 o'clock again. Are you sure? Asked Fowler, looking for the map. Here, look for yourself, I said, handing Dan Fowler my tablet. 4-2-5, then, said Fowler. Assistant Commander Robert Bannister said, let the computer know all this and step back and let it do all of the work. Yeah, I like that idea, I said. See that it happens, number 1. Guinan, whiskey and cola, I said. The Guinan android went to the task of creating the drink for me. By the way, Captain, said the android, that map rendering is incorrect. Where did you get that? Tell me, Guinan, what is wrong with it? I asked. Is level 1 at the uppermost part of the ship? The android is correct, Captain, said the first officer. I looked at my map, which was primarily drawn from the previous missions that we'd been on. I said, yes, that must have been when we were having some strange problems with the ship's computer. Hawks, the engineering chief, said, actually, Captain, if you remember correctly, the problem was not with the ship's computer as much as it was with these certain androids. Yes, I stand corrected, Chief, I said. The saucer section, as we know, is consisting of 5 levels starting at the top, working its way down to the bottom, the address consisting of the number of the level followed by the number for the ring, using 2 rings, starting with the inner ring is 1 and the outer ring is 2. When you say ring, you mean bulkhead, correct, Captain? Said the engineering chief. Correct you are, I said, gulping at my whiskey cola. Robert Bannister, the chief logistics engineer, said, to a computer's mind, I think that it is not required to produce such things. It will produce its own numbering system that may confuse a human. However, computers are not human and they have 1s and 0s to work with. Felix Android entered the lounge at this point and walked over. What is the subject of this discussion today? Most recently, Felix, we were discussing something about how computers think as opposed to the way humans think, most notably about how to map a starship or some such area and location, I said. Oh, yes, indeed, said Felix. It is much better, I think, being an android, to hide many details from humans that would only serve to confuse them. So, for example, if my quarters on this ship are named after me, then you simply ask the computer to take you to the quarters of Felix Android. It would not matter the address unless, for some specific engineering reason. All were silent, thinking about this for a moment, with a few nods here and there. By the way, said Felix, There have been a few requests to me about a need for artwork in certain areas of the ship. Should I be put in charge of artwork for the ship?" 3 people, myself included, blurted out, "No." "What is the reason for such a response?" asked Felix. "I'll take this one," I said. "Understand that for the most part, art is within the realm of humans. Art can easily be accomplished by computers, artificial intelligence, and such, yet in the past we have learned that humans add certain things to art that are not comprehended by most androids. In fact, I do think that art was probably invented by and for humans only." "Well, if you say so," said Felix. Shuttle pilot Alger Salada was listening from a table nearby. "Would you be pleasing to know that I am an artist? I already have many artworks and would be happy to lend them for use in certain areas of the ship," said the shuttle pilot. I turned from my seat at the bar. I saw that the one gold-colored pip on the collar of the shuttle pilot indicated an engineer background. "Having not seen your artwork yet," I said, "I will put myself forward and make you the director of art for the ship until further notice." Everyone with a glass put it in the air and toasted with approval. "Droid," I said, "are you sure that this is synthahol?" "That may be true for others, Captain," said the Guinan android. "However, I know you like the real stuff, so yours is real alcohol." "That explained it, thank you," I said. Therefore, I turned command of the ship over to my second in command. "Number 1, take over until I have reduced my amount of alcohol using primarily time." Rising from my seat at the bar, I weaved my way to the door. At the turbolift, "Take me as near as you can to my personal quarters," I said. My lift began to move. Back in the corridor, exiting the turbolift, I said, "Which way do I go, computer?" "Turn right and walk 4 meters. Your quarters will be the door on the left," said the computer. Zigzag my way along the corridor until I recognized the door to my quarters, and then I entered. In the captain's quarters. Captain's log, stardate 91091.5. Thankfully, it has been several hours since my drinking in the lounge. I feel bad because it makes a leader look bad in front of his crew to become inebriated in such a way. I must refrain from such activity. End of log. Using my communicator, I called the Guinan droid. "Guinan, this is the captain speaking. Until further notice, only use synthahol in any of my drinks." "Make that so," I said. "By your command, Captain," said Guinan over the communicator. Main bridge. Stepping from the turbolift and onto the main bridge, I looked to see Assistant Commander Tabitha Green at the command post. "Green," I said, "you're at my post and in my chair." Assistant Commander Green hopped out of the chair like it was hot. "Oh, terribly sorry, sir," Tabitha said. She had blonde, red-looking hair, braided around the sides in a very attractive way. "Not at all," I said. "It is the proper place when you're taking that command post." "Oh, very well. I will go to the communications, Captain, sir," said Green, walking quickly to the other side of the bridge where that A desk-like area contains the communications equipment. Navigation, I said. Where are we located and how far from Earth are we? We should be nearing Earth space at approximately 0.65, said the navigator, who happened to be Gayan Pryor, currently ranked as an assistant, or what some would think of as probably an ensign. What is the proper way to say your name? I asked. Gayan Pryor, said the navigator with very short black hair and extremely blue eyes. Time from Earth, Pryor. Pryor tapped a key in front of her naviboard. 0.125, sir, she said. I pushed the comm button on my right chair arm. Number 1, to the bridge. Fowler, aye, sir. Even now the blue orb of Earth was visible on full magnification on the screen. Con, what is our speed? Warp 3, sir, answered Assistant Commander Sam Byram. Sam had longish black hair and the whitest skin. Sam had black eyes. Sam had a strange twist to his English. I suspect he was from the Martian colony. Attached keys on my left armchair allowed me to access a small view screen on my chair. I brought up the view screen showing the ship's schematics and capabilities. The soon-to-be-called Saxon, I knew, from memory, could do warp 6 if we pushed it beyond its limits. However, its cruising speed was warp 4. Increase to warp 4, I said. Aye, sir, said Byram at the con. The ship shuddered momentarily. My communications beeped, followed by a call from engineering. Captain, engineering, I know we're supposed to be able to do warp 6. However, one of the reasons why we're returning to Earth for retrofit and refit is because the long pause from Assistant Commander Georgina Hawks was troubling. Assistant Commander Hawks, I said, see me in my office when time permits. The sooner, the better. Aye, sir. Engineering out. Another click of a switch on my armchair left showed me the current speed, warp 3.8. An arrow indicated up. I knew this means acceleration. There was another shudder, and then the ship seemed to smooth out. Speed now indicating warp 4, and no arrow. Executive Officer Dan Fowler entered the bridge. You have the bridge, number 1. I will be in my office. Aye, sir. I have the bridge. Understood, said Fowler, trading places with me on the captain's chair. I stepped quickly to my office and entered. Letting the door close behind me, I took up position at my desk. I heard the doorbell chime. Enter, I said. Assistant Commander Georgina Hawks entered my office and stepped to the front of my desk. You sent for me, Captain? Explain to me in a few words why this ship cannot go to the proper speed. I know you said the ship needs a refit. Please explain. Well, simply put, sir, the engines are in need of repair after not being maintained properly by a prior engineering person that person is no longer with us, sir. So why was this not explained to me in some memo or report? That, sir, is my fault, I suppose, said the engineering chief. Was the report never sent? I asked. That is it precisely, sir. That's my fault, and I'm sorry. I will not count it against you this time. However, in the future, I would like a heads up, either in person or a report on such an issue like that, I said. Unless there's something else, you're dismissed. Aye, sir. The ship shuddered momentarily again. I should check on that, she said, turning and moving quickly to the door. I also returned to the door of the bridge and entered the bridge once more. I looked at my executive officer and said, "Reduce speed to warp 3. "Already done, sir," said Fowler. 30 centons from Earth base? No way. Make that .09 or 3. I was aware that the engineering chief was at once at the engineering console, and the next she was rushing back to the turbo lift. Fowler traded seating positions with me, and I once again had the captain's chair. "Are you having computer issues?" I asked Fowler. "Yes, Captain. Something continues to edit the logs. I've almost thought about manufacturing some paper and some ink pens." "If you do share some with me," I said. "I would seriously consider that, sir. However, transferring it to the computer afterwards would render it work we shouldn't have to do." "We have a little time to kill," I said. "Let's play around with it. Let's see what the replicators can do with this paper and ink." "Stapler, Captain," said Fowler, getting to his feet. "Excuse me?" "Oh, excuse me. I will proceed to do just that. Back in a moment," said the executive officer, leaving the bridge. "Did he say Stapler?" I asked the bridge crew. There was no response. Then Boone at the security console said, "I believe he said Stapler. Maybe he meant stay put. Otherwise, I don't know what Stapler means." "Captain, how is it working now?" said Boone. "What?" I used the console on my left of my captain's chair. "Well, looks okay now, babe. How did you do that?" "Captain, did you just call me babe?" "Negative. I did not call you babe. I called you by your name, Boone," I said. "Actually, I think it's getting worse," said Boone. "What?" "Hold everything, Boone," I said. I just turned the autocorrection off on something here. "I thought I had done that too, sir," said Boone. "Well, I tried a different setting," I said. "Maybe it's fixed now." We make a good pair. "Number 1, this is the captain, over. This is Fowler, go. You can bring the paper and pen if you want to, but I think maybe we solved the problem temporarily. Maybe, I hope." "Aye, sir. Bridge out." This had to do with the thought transference issue again, I said under my breath. Planet Earth was very large now in the view screen, so we had to zoom the magnification back. "Assistant Commander Green, open a channel to Earth," I said. "Starfleet Command, we have you, CX. Proceed to the docking at Pier 39. "Understood, Starfleet," I said. "Officer Byron, take us in." "Aye, sir." "Commander Hatfield, you have the bridge." "Aye, sir," said Hatfield. I was on my feet and moving to the office. Captain's log, stardate 91091.2. We are now in Earth orbit at Pier 39, awaiting further. It is very likely that the entire crew will leave the ship and take leave on Earth. The estimated time for the refit is not less than 30 days, if all goes well. After consulting with Starfleet Engineering, some of the details of the computer logging system and thought transfer equipment have been tentatively solved. Maybe. End of Captain's log. And with that, this is also the end of this episode. Thanks for listening. I am Eugene, son of Douglas, the author of this work. And no artificial intelligence was used. Thank you.